Hello everybody, welcome to a quick tutorial on how to draw a basic figure with a basic toolpath. So let's get started. First, go to your wireframe tab at the top menu. This is where you will find all your features for 2D drawing geometry. We're going to start with a rectangle. I always like to start with the second option on the drop down menu on the rectangle because it gives you many options on where to choose your origin, inputting your dimensions of width and height, and as well as corner radius if there's any desired. So on mine, I'm gonna put origin in the middle and then drag it out and click anywhere on the grid. Then go ahead and input your width and height. So just a random number for purpose of this example. And we're gonna leave a corner radius of 125. Once you are done with your figure, go ahead and select the green check mark. And if you are gonna draw another rectangle, you would choose the check mark with a plus sign. Okay, next we're going to draw a couple circles, which are gonna be the center board and two, let's say 4 holes on each corner with a counter board. So main board is probably gonna be 1 inch, and then I'm gonna go ahead and click on the plus sign because I'm gonna draw the circles that are gonna be the 4 holes at the corners. We're gonna do 1/2 inch counter board, click the plus sign again with a 1/4 inch hole. Once I'm done, we're gonna exit that, and now we're just gonna move these two to every corner, and I'm gonna show you how to use the transform tab. This tab you have to use when manipulating any geometry and figure. There's a lot you can do, from mirroring to rotating, scaling. So for now we're just gonna use the translate option, and we're gonna go up, let's say 1.5, and you could do this manually on the x-axis and y-axis, positive and negative. Or you could also use these arrows right here to do. Go ahead and place it there for now, and then we're gonna go ahead and select it again, do the same, but this time we're gonna do positive. And this time around we could actually move it so that it moves it to the corner now, and I'm gonna show you how to mirror these two, and I'm just showing you the most efficient and fastest way to do all this. Obviously you could also copy from the center down here, but this is faster, and we're gonna go and select copy, and once we're done, click on the green check mark, and that's pretty much our part so far. Okay, next, for the sake of this example, we're also gonna draw a center slot around this board as well. Gonna go ahead and draw another circle around this, and then we're gonna go ahead and draw the slot, which is gonna be composed of this line. I'm gonna show you guys how to translate this entity one more time with either the arrows or type it in right here on the Y, in this case, the desired distance from the center top. And we're gonna go ahead and put copy so that we can move this one once again to the negative side of the Y. We'll move it this time to get out of the way. We're done with that. And now we're gonna go back to wireframe and choose trim break extend menu, drop down to break two entities. Okay, from there we're gonna start breaking the entities because this is gonna help us chain when we're doing our toolpath for the milling. So we break the circle where it's gonna intersect with the lines. We're essentially, we just want the lines at the end and this little radius in the middle. Everything else is just gonna get erased. Okay, once we're done breaking all the geometry, and go ahead and exit with the exit tab on your keyboard, and we could start selecting the entities we do not wish to have here, which would be just these. There you go. Boom. So now we pretty much have the geometry done, the drawing done, and I'm actually gonna go ahead and show you guys how to rotate this. Just rotate, and we could move this 90 degrees and just put move so that we don't have the other one in the background, and that's it. Now we are ready to start the toolpath. Okay, so now that we're ready to start the toolpath, we're gonna go ahead to the machine tab, and this is where you can choose what machine you're gonna use, and obviously that's gonna determine what kind of toolpaths you're gonna get. So for this specific scenario, we're gonna do a milling machine, and as you can see, the toolpath tab window is going to come out from the left side, and you could pin it so it doesn't go back and forth. I only put it back when I'm gonna draw, but after that, when I'm already going to get into toolpaths, we're going to go ahead and pin it. And from here you could as you can see, I already had a machine group. We're going to close this one, and you could, these little plus minus signs will give you more options here on for the stock. We can go ahead and do our stock setup. We'll go ahead and select all entities. That will automatically select all the entities that I've drawn. If there was solids, then we'll choose solids and so forth, but this time we're going to just do all entities, and right now we're just going to do maybe a 1 inch thickness, and that should give us our stock. As you can see over here, I have a 1 inch stock on this part. You could right click and choose a dynamic rotation. Click. If you don't have you can just go back to top, exit it, and you can choose whatever view you want. But going back to the toolpaths, we will probably just start, we would go to the toolpath tab at the top right, and from there drop down on all the milling operations that we have here. We're gonna start with the holes, so we'll start with the drill. I like to select entities for when choosing where we're gonna drill, because if you choose the arrow option, you will have to get the center of each circle, and that can sometimes be a little frustrating. So I would like to choose entities, that way you can just choose whatever circle you're gonna go ahead and drill. So once we select it all, we put end selection, and when we click this check mark, the toolpath window will pop out. This is where you're gonna set up your tool. We already chose the tool type, which was a drill. We'll go ahead and select our tool. We go to select tool, select library tool here, and this window will come out. We will go and press on filter so that we can get our center drills, and from there you could either choose the number of center drill you are going to use. And once you have it on this side, now you can go ahead and click whatever tool number you have on your machine and start setting the spindle speed and feed rate for your operation. So from there you can drop down to cut parameters. Obviously it's a center drill, we would choose a drill counterbore, which would be a G81. For peg drill would be G83, G82 chip brake, and tap G84. So these are the most commonly used for this specific toolpath function. And linking parameters, as we keep going down, it's going to give us the offsets for our Z. So this is pretty much the standard that I put. 1 inch clearance for any clamps that might be on the way, and then I'll do a retract of 100 thou before getting to the stock, which is obviously 0, and depth on a center drill I usually do 60 thousandths. From there we can click OK, and as you can see, we have the first operation of milling this part, which is our center drills. Okay, next we're gonna go ahead and select a drill. In this case, we could do 1/4 inch for the corner holes, and to start the pilot hole on the center, and then from there we go to our tools once more, select tool library, filter again, and this time we'll turn off the center drill and turn on the drill filter so that we can go ahead and select the drill. As you can see, it's laid out by diameter, so all you gotta do is scroll down to 1/4 inch. This example would be tool 2. Obviously you would put whatever tool number you have on your machine. Over here, your spindle speed once again, and your feed rate. Obviously this is just based on what material you're running. I'm assuming this piece will be just mild steel, so we can go with these right here. these ratios, and then from over here we can cut parameters, switch to J83 peg drill cycle, and we said the part was going to be around an inch. So over here all we would change is the depth, which I would give it another 200 thou so it could break through, and that would be our next drilling cycle. So once we have those 4 holes, we can go ahead and maybe drill another bigger hole here before we can go ahead and go in with our end mill. So we'll do one more drill cycle here. I believe that bore will be 1 inch, so we can go ahead and look for maybe a bigger size drill, maybe they're a 1/2 inch or 5/8, just to save the end mill some time and remove more material at a faster pace. So we can go ahead and do on bigger drills. I tend to go a little slower, so that might even be too much. 700, and we can also do here maybe like okay. We'll do same pecking. Depth, I would like to go a little more just because it's a bigger drill. It tends to have a longer tip. So here we can see that all the holes will be drilled, and now we can go ahead and grab a 1/2 inch end mill and counterbore these, as well as this bore in the middle, and maybe do a contour around as well. So we'll go ahead and do that. Okay, next we're gonna go ahead and face the outside with a 1/2 inch end mill. Let's go ahead and so we select the chain on the outside, and for this I just want to make sure to let you guys know that the direction of the arrow matters a lot. You want to make sure that it's always wherever it's pointing, and if you're climbing, the end mill will be on the left side based on where the arrow is pointing, right? So on this case we want to go on the outside, of course, climb milling on the left, and we can select OK there. For tool, we can go ahead and grab the end mill. It automatically kind of knows that you're gonna mill, so it gives you all the end mills here that you might want to, the standard sizes. And over here you could, like if you had a resharp tool, you could put the diameter. It's usually 5 or 10 under, so we'll go ahead and change that. Tool 4, you can go ahead and put the spindle speed and the feed. We're gonna go ahead and use our lead in, lead out in a bit. So right here we can choose climb milling or conventional milling, which would be right. I'm gonna leave it on the left. That's the cutter compensation there. So when it's on computer, and it'll automatically do the compensation for you. I don't really mess around with all the other ones just because it's less complicated for me. But you could always go ahead and dive into the control where, reverse where, and I sometimes do use the off when So in some engraving scenarios, I would go ahead and just click off to just for the tool just to follow the line down the center in some scenarios. So yeah, that could probably be explained in another video, but in lead in, lead out. So here you could choose how much you want your tool away from the part. So 100% of the tool would be 1/2 inch. I don't really like to go that far out, so in this case I'm just gonna take off the perpendicular or straight out and just do a 50% arc in on both lead in, lead out. Okay, so we can do a rough pass of 50 thou and then do a finish pass of 5 thou with a speed up feet rate and speed up the spindle speed. You know, just leave that a nice finish at final depth. We don't have any depth cuts, but that would be when you have depth cuts, you want to choose this right here, so it saves you some time. From here we do our linking parameters. Okay, just changing up a couple things, and we'll go the full, well, let's say we're grabbing it on a vise, right? And let's say our part is 875. We can do 750, assuming we're grabbing it from 1/4 inch, and then there's our part. So as you can see, we already have most of our drilling. Now we have our outside contour. Now we're gonna go on to doing the slots at a depth cut, and for that, instead of using this chain option, we want to go to this partial or single option. That way, you know, we're not doing the whole entire chain, we're just doing a partial chain. So on this case, we would start here and here and come out, and then come back in here, go out this way. We're gonna do depth cuts at a certain depth, so we would go to tool, select the end mill again with similar settings on the spindle speed and the feed, just to go ahead and rough out the center slot. We could turn on the depth cuts since we're going to be milling down. We could do 100 thou is fine. The lead in, I would change this and then put it up here, so we could just have a straight lead in, lead out without any arcs. Multi passes, we would want it to come out a little more, so we can go ahead and nail the rest of the middle. And now let's just leave it at 2 and see how it looks. Finish at 5 thou, that's fine. And this is where we check final depth, because we have depth cuts now. And since the part is 1 inch, we would redo half of that as a slot. As you can see, I don't think would be enough right here, so go back here to multi passes, spread it out a little more, and maybe do 3. Let me see how that goes. Put refresh to regenerate. Boom. Okay, and finally we're gonna go ahead and counterbore these 4 holes here and to the final bore pass in the middle. So we're gonna go ahead and start with a pocket. Since we're already gonna have a hole here of 5/8, we are just gonna pocket this out into a final pass. As you can see, this is in the wrong direction, so we want to flip it because we're going to go on the left in the inside. So that's our chain. We go to our tool. Everything could be done with the same metal, so we're just going to keep working with this one. Rapid retract out to save us time. Feed. We can go a little fast once we're in there. Since we already have a clear path down the middle, we're gonna plunge in pretty fast. Right here you could either leave some material on the walls, but in this case we don't want any of that. We're just gonna do a final pass on the upcoming options. So here, this is where you get to choose how you want to rough out that pocket. On circular pockets, I just like to go with a true spiral, to be honest. Just it's easier for the tool. And here we could just go ahead and do 20% going out, and just so we don't wear out our tool too fast. Entry motion, since we're clear on down the middle, we're just gonna turn this off, and on our finish we're gonna go ahead and do 1 finish pass with 10,000s, maybe do 5,000s, just to give it nice clean finish pass. We go ahead and do a faster feed for that, maybe like a 5 with a little faster spindle speed. Then we can go ahead and continue to the lead in, lead out on the finish pass. This will only be applied on the finish pass, so we can go ahead and put around 20% on the arc. Oops, okay. And depth cuts, I don't think we would need this, so we'll go, since we already did the slot cut, we're only gonna have 1/2 inch of material and it's already roughed out, so we're gonna go ahead and just leave that alone and go ahead and change our depths here. Oh, actually I'm gonna change the top of the stock because we already have the slot roughed out. We're only gonna have, so our top of the stock will be negative 1/2 inch because we did the slot, and we would keep going to just a bit more of 1 inch to clear the middle, and that would be the pocket. We'll go ahead and simulate all this at the end. Let me just do the last counterbore holes here, which would be these. Change the direction to the left on all 4. The reason why we want to do this one separate and I didn't click it with the other one, the other contours is because we're not going to go all the way on the depth, so we don't want to get that somehow mistaken and scrap our part. So here, same tool, cut parameters, same depth cuts. Counterbore will probably be around 1/2 inch as well, so I don't think we need this. And this right here, there won't really be any space since we have a 1/2 inch end mill, so I believe we could just also leave this alone. Go ahead and no multi-passes, just go in there and get it done with the 1/2 inch here. You can see you hardly tell because this is already 1/2 inch, but it's just a little getting in there, almost like a drill cycle. But our part is pretty much ready to go. If you wanted to simulate this real quick, you would select all the machine group operations here, and then I like using the black pot selected operation here. You can go ahead and kind of tilt it if you want to look at it from another view. Slow it down and then press play, and you can see center drill. It's actually pecking, but the simulation is just gonna show you this right here. We can change to the top. This is already our end mill. You can see how it's just doing the outside first. We did a couple rough cuts just to simulate and practice. In reality, we could have just done one if there's minimal material, but like I said, just wanted to show you guys for the sake of this tutorial. And these are the depth cuts that are gonna go and rough out the middle. We can speed it up a little bit here. And we can pocket it out to our pockets, and that would be our part.